My best way of thriving is being busy. So here we are, busy as ever. Hey, I'm Ashley Cooke, and this is The High Notes. Today I'll be talking about what you can expect from me in 2024. My debut album, called Shot in the Dark, it's 24 songs, came out in July of 2023. It's crazy, it's already 2024. Time's flying. I didn't expect to ever put out a basically double album for my first album, and I was a little nervous putting it out just because so many of the songs are really personal to who I am, and it feels like you're kind of putting your soul out in the world and just hoping people like it and don't really know what it's gonna turn out like. Also, my first headline tour, getting to see people scream different songs and gravitate towards and request different songs. I'll usually in the show be like, hey, who wants to hear what song? Just kind of like throw it out and people pick different songs. So it's been very fun, and I'm such an album person. I've always loved albums. So it's really special to get to have a project that, from start to finish feels so true to who I am, and I'm excited people love it. I'm continuously surprised by the songs that people gravitate towards. It really shocks me. Like, for example, track 12 on the album, it's right smack dab in the middle, is a song called Next to You, and I wrote it completely by myself. It's the only song on the album I wrote by myself, and I wrote it the morning after my Grand Ole Opry debut, about just waking up next to somebody very special. And it's crazy to me how I wrote that song in maybe 10 minutes and didn't think it was ever gonna go anywhere. Next thing you know, it's on the album, track 12, and people at every show are requesting it and asking for that song. So that's the beauty of putting out an album, is you can have focus tracks or things that the label or whoever thinks are gonna push forward, and sometimes they do, which is awesome, but sometimes some songs come out of nowhere, like Your Place, my current single at radio. That song was not intended to be the single, but then everybody just gravitated towards it so much, and the reaction at live shows was so huge that we just had to pay attention. I'm just fortunate, and I feel thankful when, whether it's radio or social media, whatever it is, people listen to my music. I don't really care the mechanism, and that's how I've always kind of been. Even in my career, starting with like a lot of the TikTok stuff, I was always like, man, I want to create music that translates whatever platform it is that people find it on first, whether it's TikTok or the radio or streaming platforms, whatever it is. Honestly, touring as a headliner and then as support and switching between the two, it's really fun, and it challenges my brain in the best way, which I love being challenged. Because, for example, like we'll play Bridgestone Arena, and then I went and played like a 700 cap room in like Chicago or something. And so the difference between even just how to speak on stage, when I'm talking in a smaller headline room, you can talk fast, they're tracking with you, they're right there in front of you, you can see their faces, you're like right there, right? But in an arena, you really have to, hello, Nashville, pause for effect. How are we doing tonight? Like, you have to give the time for your words to radiate through that room, or they won't connect with it. So it's definitely different. I love headline, obviously, because, they're coming there to see me and hear the music, and it's this kind of community that we've built. But I also love opening up for people, especially people like Luke Bryan and Jordan Davis, because they pull me on stage later in the night, and the community they've built is really fun and accepting. People like Jordan, there's a reason why they are killing it in the industry. And obviously it's talent, but a lot of it too is they're just good people. We just finished the European UK leg of the tour, and we spent a month together just hanging out in all these European and UK cities. European touring, it just hits different. They're so respectful. So like in the US, if you're playing at a bar at 9 p.m. and it's a bar crowd, they're gonna drink their beer and they're gonna have their fun times, which like all power to you, love that. I'll play some more tempo songs just to get them going, It's also my job as an entertainer to understand what the room wants. But in Europe, I was the opening for Jordan, and they studied my album. They studied every single song, they sang back. They knew the material before I even stepped foot in the building. They're pin drop quiet when you're telling a story, and they're cheering when you tell them to cheer, and they're making noise when you tell them to. They're just so respectful. It's a different world over there. I also lived off croissants. Like, I swear to God, I just ate nothing but croissants for like a solid month. But overall, it's really great. It feels homey, just a little different. This is my first year in a tour bus, which I'm very excited about. We've been touring in a van for the last like 3 years, maybe a little longer than that. It's funny to say that I'm gonna miss it, because truly my band and I have bonded more than anything in the entire world. We're like truly family on the road. Now stepping onto a bus, I realize what that means, and it feels like such a blessing to get to do, which I don't know if I'd have that same mentality if I just did that from day one. I think life on the road can get really lonely and tough sometimes, and if you don't have some kind of family unit in your band and your crew and people that you're with more than you are anybody else in your life, you won't be able to sustain long term. And so for me, I have a really close actual family that I've always been very close with. So yeah, I think a family unit on the road is important to have, to kind of create like a safe space. Those are my high notes. Thanks to the CMA for having me. And make sure you like and subscribe for more. I love to wakeboard. Then there's this cute little restaurant on the lake here in town. You grab a margarita and some calamari and call it a day. Watch the sun go down.